From Buffalo Wild Wings on 42nd Street in Fargo, welcome to Benchwarmers. Today's featured guests are radio play-by-play voice for NDSU Athletics, Jeff Culhane. Sports director at KFYR-TV, Lee Timmerman. Television play-by-play voice for Bison football, Brian Shawn. And our host, Midco Sports Network's Tom Nieman.
Hello, welcome once again to Benchwarmers. We are at Buffalo Wild Wings, Fargo, North Dakota. And usually week to week we put together a pretty smart panel for this. Don't know about this week, so bear with us. But media veterans down there, Brian and LT, and then welcome home, sort of, I guess, to Mr. Jeff Culhane, who will be the radio voice of North Dakota State University football, basketball. Where you been? He's a Mitchell, South Dakota guy. Went to Dakota Wesleyan. Started your radio career at Nebraska, correct? And have been in West Virginia for the last 3 or so years. Where you been?
Yeah, Mitchell guy. First stop out of college was actually in Yankton, South Dakota, and called games at USD with the Coyotes. So that was the first 2.5, 3 years or so, and then on to Nebraska for about 6, and then took me out to the mountains into West Virginia to Morgantown for about 3. That's where I've been the last 3 years with West Virginia University and covering the Big 12 Conference. So great to be back here. It's an honor to be back here and be closer to home and be around family and be around a program as well that's been so great and so successful.
Moving up from Nebraska and West Virginia to North Dakota State.
5 in a row. 5 in a row, right?
We'll get to that in a second here, of course.
That's funny.
You've dealt with guys like Bob Huggins at West Virginia, Tim Miles at Nebraska. Are they as they seem to be? Everybody thinks Miles is the huggable, lovable one, and Huggins is the nasty guy to deal with. Is that how they are?
I think Tim Miles is what he is. But Ver, I think the one thing that people that they underestimate with Tim, because he's so outgoing and fun-loving, the guy wants to win. I mean, he is as competitive as anybody around, and he's into it big time. It's not just some laid back deal. He's a guy that goes out there and does whatever they need to do to put themselves in position to win. Made the NCAA tournament in year number 2 at Nebraska, year 1 of their brand new arena.
Trying to get back there.
And working on that as we speak. And honestly, Bob Huggins, big guy, very vocal on the court, somewhat soft-spoken off the court. If he were with us sitting here in this setting, you'd ask him a question, and he'd probably look at the ceiling for about 5 seconds, and then answer it for about 2.5 minutes. And soft-spoken and almost sometimes hard to hear him in a regular conversation. But one of the all-time great coaches in college basketball, and I think those two guys are definitely fun guys to cover and be around. Another fun guy that I'll be working with, that I worked with at Nebraska, was Bo Pelini, now at Youngstown State in the Missouri Valley Conference. So Bo Pelini is what he is.
We had an experience with him. We had fun with Bo last year.
Some opinions on Bo Pelini, I think.
There isn't a soft side to Bo like there is. What you see on the sideline is what you get with the head coach at Youngstown State.
Any comment on Bo Pelini, Lee?
We were YouTube sensations last year.
Bo, let me see. I would say Bo made me the closest to consciously swearing on the air as I ever have been in 30 years.
Because he was throwing a rant. It was an NDSU game at Youngstown, and he was doing his thing.
And probably his team should have won until he kind of got off of the rails. His team got off the rails. The fans got off the rails, and they forgot to win.
We got out of Youngstown as fast as we could. I can tell you that right now. We went to our car and we drove out of Dodge as fast as we could. We went to Pittsburgh.
All right.
Great football mind. Very aggressive on the sideline.
That's putting it wildly.
But you'll get to deal with Chris Kleiman and David Richmond, basketball coach. These guys, good guys here. All right, North Dakota State University football. We're sitting here in June, and of course, that's the big topic. Anytime you come to Fargo, can they win their 6th national championship in a row? Is there any weakness? Just give somebody else in the Missouri Valley some hope. Is there any weakness, Brian Shawn, on the Bison football team for this season?
Weakness?
They've got a few positions to work on.
Yeah, I mean, they probably want to develop a little more depth on O-line, probably want to develop a little more depth than wide receiver in some of those areas.
Corner
is a concern, but all 3 linebackers are back, both safeties are back, the whole D-line is back. They got red shirts that, are supposedly very, very good. We saw in the spring game how deep they are in some positions. They haven't been at the other. They have a quarterback that is 8-0 that played as a redshirt freshman. I don't see a ton of weaknesses, but maybe some depth if they get hit with some injury bugs at some positions could be a concern down the road.
A few weeks ago, Kleiman was out in Bismarck. They had a alumni golf outing, which of course all the colleges have, fundraiser type things. And Kleiman was telling a story about how this lady came up to him and said, "Oh boy, Coach, I'm really worried. You had Carson Wentz graduate, Joe Haig graduated, C.J. Smith, and Gordon Champion, and ran down all this thing." She goes, "I'm really concerned. How are you going to replace all those guys?" And Kleiman said, "I just looked at her, smiled, and said, I think we'll be all right."
Well, that's the thing. It keeps coming back to that. Yes, all those guys gone, but you said DeLuca back. Easton Stick was 8-0 as a starter in place of Carson Wentz. Anybody, forget nationally, when we get to the playoffs, anybody in the Missouri Valley that's got a chance to beat them this year?
Well, I think there's some teams that are out there. I think Youngstown's going to have a pretty good team. You never count out UNI, just to name a
But,
few.
they got a lot of their tough games at home. Illinois State's at home, Youngstown State's at home, and they go to Western Illinois, new coach, USD, new coach. So I think they got the right teams at home. South Dakota State at home. So I think somebody has a chance to get them. I mean, I do, but it's just a matter. I mean, South Dakota got them last year at home, so it can be done. It's just a matter of we're not exactly sure when it's going to come.
Tom's calling it. Tom's calling it.
Just quickly, Lee Timmerman from KFYR in Bismarck has known Carson Wentz probably as well as anybody.
Oh, since he's been a
little
little
kid. And you told me 3 years ago that he was going to be in the NFL, and I didn't believe you, but he was. What are going to be his prospects, you think, at Philadelphia as a rookie quarterback?
I hope he doesn't have to play. It's my opinion and opinion of a lot of other people. I think that the more he goes without having to play, the better off it's going to be over his whole career. I was talking with his dad, Doug, and I said that same statement, and Doug goes, "I agree, but try telling the kid that." Obviously, he wants to play right away, but I think he'd be better off not playing for the whole year if the Eagles could possibly accommodate that.
All right. You look at his history, Sam Bradford's history, he's going to play in the second half of the season.
Wentz will be in there
at some point.
6 games in, maybe.
At some point in the second half of the year, he'll be in a game at some point in time.
Right. If he wins the job, he wins the job. I mean, it's an open competition. If he goes and wows everybody at camp, what do? You got to play the best guys, the NFL. Yeah. At the same time, I'm with LT. He's better off sitting for a while.
We will see. There's another kid, another quarterback from Bismarck Century that is going to play some college baseball instead of college football. We'll talk about that with Lee Timmerman. And who is Devin Douglas? And what has he done for the University of Mary, a slam dunk college champion? We'll talk about that when we come back on Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers here in Fargo, North Dakota this week. And this just in, North Dakota State football just got another 5-star recruit as we speak. It's unbelievable. Anyway, Lee Timmerman is Mr. TV Sports in Bismarck, North Dakota, home of Carson Wentz. And home this year to a kid named Dalton Feeney. Who is Dalton Feeney? He was the quarterback at Bismarck Century, state champions. Great quarterback, but he's going to, we think, play baseball in college.
Yeah,
right?
He was signed, sealed, and delivered to Missouri until Missouri's coach got fired. He was there for 22 years, and so there's a little bit of an uncertainty on what Dalton's going to do. But his intention was to pitch in college. That was the vibe that he put out before the Major League draft, which is one of the reasons he fell for as much as he did. He basically told people that draft me in whatever round you want. It's going to take first round money to get me, so that just means you're going to go way down. That shows you the commitment that he made to college.
But unbelievable high school quarterback.
Yeah. Yes.
Better in your mind than Carson Wentz was when he was there.
Not even close.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Dalton was, the team was 2-2, and then before Feeney got cleared. And all the stuff that Dalton has done, you got to remember, he's got a torn ligament in his elbow. The Tommy John ligament has a partial tear in it. He threw 2 perfect games this spring and struck out oodles of people, and they just basically gave him the okay. It'd been week 5 of the football season, and Century didn't lose once he came back. But I know our joke was around Bismarck is that whoever Missouri's quarterback is, this is when we thought, knew for sure he was going. Whoever Missouri's quarterback is, the starter might be the second best quarterback on campus when he gets there to play baseball.
Yeah, all right. Also at the University of Mary in Bismarck this year, there was a great story. A kid named Devin Douglas was the college slam dunk champion this year. Where did this kid come from?
Well, he played junior college ball in Iowa and then transferred to the University of Mary. Devin would probably tell you that he's not the best all-around basketball player in the world, but the man could get off the floor.
Throw it down.
Yeah, he could get off the floor. And he was the only non-Division I person invited to the slam dunk contest, and lo and behold, he won it. And the Harlem Globetrotters in recent years have always made a habit of reaching out and giving the slam dunk champion a contract or a tryout, so he's got a chance to make a little cash dunking the basketball. And he doesn't have to play defense, which I'm sure Devin's going to love.
The Globetrotters? Was that a big splash? Was that a big surprise that he won the college slam dunk championship?
I would say yes.
I mean, it was put Bismarck on the map a little bit more.
Yeah, it helped a little bit. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it was on ESPN, and it's nationally televised, and that was the one thing that, UMary, they're like, where's the University of Mary? I'm sure there was a lot of Googling going on, and Bismarck, oh, okay, a kid that can jump there. Yeah, he could.
And speaking of UMary men's basketball, good year under Joe Cattell, first season there,
Joe
won
did an
19
outstanding
games.
job.
And
program
looks like it's in good hands right now.
I know we had our sportscaster and sports writer meetings, and Cattell was another one of the finalists along with Kleiman, who you would expect, and Coach Barry from UND, who both won national championships, finalists for the Men's Coach of the Year award. Did a fantastic job taking basically the same team with the addition of one junior college kid who came in and was in a backup role and won 10 more games. And, made a run in the NSIC, and we all know how tough a league that is to do anything in. So, and he's a local guy. He's from Garrison, North Dakota, so hopefully he'll be around for a while. And, his brother was on the football staff at NDSU, and now he's the head coach at Jamestown. So the Cattells can coach.
All right, a little more on hoops when we come back here. Kevin Durant is going to be a free agent this week. Where would you like to see him go? Not Golden State, somewhere else, but we'll discuss that when we come back.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers in Fargo, North Dakota this week here at Buffalo Wild Wings. NBA free agency is going to get started. Kevin Durant from Oklahoma City will be a free agent as of this Friday. Would you like to, he could stay in Oklahoma City. Talks of him maybe going to Golden State. I'm tired of Golden State already. I'm tired of them winning and being that good, but I'm a little more of a guy that would like to see Durant or an impact player like that go to Boston, go to the Clippers, one of these teams on the verge. Where would you, if he goes somewhere, where would you like to see him go?
A couple of things you can look at. One, you can look at it and say, he had Golden State beat.
Yeah, they did.
It was over. It was 3-1,
right.
And they had a chance to beat them in Oklahoma City. I was actually in Oklahoma City for the Big 12 baseball tournament when Game 6 was happening just down the road. I went to my hotel room the second that Game 6 ended because I didn't want to see who knows what would have happened walking around Oklahoma City that night. But he had the Warriors beat. I think a lot of people felt like Oklahoma City was the most talented team in the NBA this past season. They get by Golden State. Who knows what happens against Cleveland? So from that perspective, you can look at it and say, I'm good right where I'm at.
Right.
I can stay there. I think, as an outsider looking at it, I would think he's probably looking at it and wondering, what is Russell Westbrook going to do? Is he going to stay? Because if he leaves, then there's no reason why I'm staying. And then that whole organization is a completely different look. If he doesn't go to the East, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go East? Because the only team you got to contend with is Cleveland. Mm-hmm. If you play in the West, you're dealing with San Antonio. You're dealing with, as a Golden State team, you're dealing with some of those groups out there. I think you should go East and either go to Boston,
Miami,
maybe to Washington, Miami.
That's why I say
do something out there.
For the good of the NBA, I think that would be the best scenario.
His max leverage is to, I think, sign a one-year contract.
Right. Despite all the money,
there's
money
see what
issues there, but wouldn't that be cool to see him go to some team in the East?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you talk about the one-year contract, but, it's hard to just say, I can get max money wherever I go now, just sign and be set up.
I meant max leverage, not necessarily max money. I should have said that.
Yeah, and I think he should just take a max. He's going to get max money wherever he goes. And to me, the two places that would entice me to go is what he can do off the court there, and that's Chicago and New York. And I think those are two places he could go and they could build around him, and he could put those franchises on the map and be right in the middle of all the action and get a lot of opportunities off the court in terms of everything else. And I think that's something that I think maybe would appeal to him. But at the same time, maybe the Mavs. He played at Texas. Maybe Dallas would be a place he would consider going.
Yeah, anywhere but Golden State.
There's not enough shots to go around at Golden State.
Yeah,
I mean, Klay Thompson, Steph, how are they going to get there's no way.
He's going to need 20 to 25 shots no matter where he goes, and he's going to get them in Oakland.
No way.
Just such a tough route. I mean, the Clippers, the Mavs, the Rockets, even though Dwight Howard now has left Houston, it might make the most sense to stay right where he's at.
Probably.
Even though Oklahoma City is not the sexiest place, when you think about it as far as the other opportunities he might have, it might be the best place.
If they can keep what they got
Westbrook,
together there, they might get it done finally. All right, the Minnesota Twins. Lee Timmerman, are you still a Minnesota Twins fan?
I still am, yes.
Would you go watch them play right now?
We have
all the way to Minneapolis.
We're going to.
Right.
Yep, the day before we head down to Knoxville to go watch 4 nights of sprint car racing. Boy, I was fired up when we bought those tickets. First time the single games went on, I called Brian. I said, I got good seats right behind home plate. And about a month into the season, Brian goes, boy, Journey's in St. Paul. You want to go to that instead?
I mean, are you shocked or surprised at all that they have gone down the hill?
At first, I thought, they can't be this bad. They can't be this bad. And then you watched them for a month and went, oh, my goodness, they're worse than this bad.
Trade talks will start going hot in July. There's no way they can get rid of Joe Mauer, ever.
I don't think so.
No. I think they're stuck with him until his contract is up. It's really been the perfect storm, though, for the Twins. They've had a lot of guys that last year had pretty good years and were on maybe the verge. Maybe we thought of having really great years. We thought Dozier would take a step. Sano, Phil Hughes had a good year. Santana would play a full season. All these guys are having some of the worst years of their career at the same time. And that's a bad combination when everybody that you're depending on, a guy like Sano that you're depending on to be your power guy, 30 home run, 100 RBIs, hasn't been able to get in the field in a month and wasn't doing well to begin with. Dozier's been bad. I mean, they're relying on guys like Eduardo Nunez to carry the load.
Is the one guy hitting
He's
over
going to be their all-star.
I mean, think about that. He's been a bench guy his whole life. So, I mean, it's catastrophic.
Yeah, pitching's been terrible.
They got to just sell, man. And Terry Ryan says we got to be active at the trade deadline. I'm sure that was the result in one move for him, which is going to be insignificant to begin with.
It's amazing the run they made a year ago. I don't think anybody saw that coming last season.
And then everybody thought they were going to build on that.
And then you keep building on it. And then the other part about it is, with Joe Mauer, what he's meant to the state of Minnesota and to that organization, you sort of knew when they signed the deal with Joe that this could be the situation they'd be in down the road. You sort of knew that was going to be, but you had to do it at that point in time. You just had to.
You assumed you were going to get a few more years behind the plate out of Mauer than a first $23 million singles hitting first baseman.
Oh.
And he's hitting 270 right now.
With no power.
Yeah.
Oh, Twins. We love you. I was going to talk about soccer a little bit, as mandated by our producer, Alex Heinrich, but just a quick thought on that. Chile beats Argentina to win the Copa America Cup. Was anybody watching soccer at all in the last couple of weeks?
No.
It's not going to take over baseball as our national pastime.
I think some of these tournaments come up, and I think there is interest. Because I see it on Twitter and social media, there is interest in it from people. I'm just not one of those people. I pay attention when the World Cup is going on, and outside of that, I could care less about soccer.
Yeah, it's growing.
It is growing. I will say it is growing. It is.
Get a guy like Heinrich to get you interested, and then you got to...
He's also interested in track. I have no interest in track ever. Except for the Olympics. Then I do have interest in track.
All right, when we come back here in Fargo on Benchwarmers, our Winging It question of the week.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. Time for our Winging It question of the week here at Buffalo Wild Wings. And here is Carla Metz.
Thanks, Tom. I'm here with Joseph, who's 8 years old, and he is from the West Fargo area. And as you can tell from the green and gold pullover, he's a big Bison fan, so you can probably guess what his question is going to be about. Here's Joseph's question.
Which new player will have the biggest impact on the Bison this year?
All right, let's get the panel's thoughts.
All right, Joseph, huge Bison fan, wants to know the biggest impact player this year for North Dakota State. Who's going to have the most and how they are going to come out this year? Who do you
Going
think?
cliche, I'm going to go with the quarterback. I'm going to go with Easton Stick.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people need to realize what he accomplished last year. Extremely impressive. Now he's the guy and has that role that Bison fan hope for the next 3 years as a redshirt sophomore. Easton Stick's the
He's
guy.
proven, but still a little bit unproven,
Yeah.
so Stick's going to be a big deal. What do you think?
Well, proven guy on defense is Nick DeLuca. You could make a really easy argument that he's the best defensive player in FCS, plays that linebacker position. The NFL has their eyes on him. He's a stud. He's a big-time player.
No doubt.
I'm going to go with Bruce Anderson. Not only what he can do as a running back, but on special teams, a big-time impact guy, very explosive, can really be a game changer on both sides there.
All right. Charleston Southern is at North Dakota State almost exactly 2 months from today. It's going to be the debut on the radio for Jeff Culhane. These guys will have NDSU football, not that game,
Not
but
that one.
the rest of the season on NBC North Dakota. And when we come back, our poll question, who's got the best high school football in the Dakotas right now?
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. Our poll question of the week, which region of the Dakotas has the best high school football? Which quadrant? East River, West River, North Dakota, South Dakota? Had 153 total votes between the Twitter poll and here at Buffalo Wild Wings. A good 2/3 of those for East River, South Dakota, the Sioux Falls team. Sioux Falls, Washington, the AA big school champs in South Dakota. Are you surprised by that at all, LT?
Nope, not even close. Sioux Falls light years better than the rest of the Dakotas.
East River, North Dakota with more votes than West River, North Dakota, even though Century and Minot were in the championship game last year.
Yeah.
I think it varies from year to year. I would say on average, yes.
Got an old ESD guy right here, so I'll take East River, South Dakota.
All right, thanks to these guys. Appreciate it here in Fargo. Have a great 4th of July weekend. We'll see you in a couple weeks on Benchwarmers.